Hey guys, tonight we're not just going to the museum, we're going to the absolute ground floor of ancient Egypt. The dusty, hot, miserable, and frankly kind of disgusting ground floor. You've seen the movies, the sweeping shots of majestic pyramids and glittering gold masks, the powerful pharaohs and graceful queens. It all seems so grand, so impossibly epic. But what if I told you that for every golden sarcophagus, there were 100,000 pairs of feet covered in sores, 100,000 bellies rumbling with hunger, and 100,000 lives that were, in a word, a brutal slog? Now I need you to picture this. The year is around 1350 BC. The sun is a white-hot furnace in the sky, and there is absolutely nowhere to hide from it. The air is thick with the scent of unwashed bodies, stale grain, and the ever-present nauseating aroma of the Nile itself, a river that serves as the bathroom, laundry, and drinking fountain for everyone. You probably have a nagging itch from head to toe. Maybe it's a flea, maybe it's a louse, or maybe it's just the grit and dust of daily life that has become a second skin. It's a lot to take in, isn't it? So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're listening in, let me know where you are and what time it is. The thought of this story traveling across time zones and continents is always one of my favorite parts. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You feel a sharp pain in your back as you roll over on your clay bed, a hard, unyielding surface that offers no comfort. It's barely dawn, but the heat is already building a stifling blanket that promises a long, miserable day. You share this one-room hut with your family, your parents, your siblings, maybe even a few cousins. There's no privacy. The air is thick with the smell of sweat and the earthy scent of the Nile mud walls. A few feet away, your mother is already grinding grain, the rhythmic scrape of stone. On stone, a relentless, monotonous sound that has been the soundtrack to your entire life. You sit up swatting at a fly that lands on your cheek. There are so many flies, a constant buzzing cloud of disease and irritation. They land on everything, spreading whatever they've picked up from the filthy streets. You reach for a small bowl of last night's leftover bread, a hard, gritty loaf filled with sand and tiny pieces of stone from the milling process. The sand is unavoidable. It gets into everything. It's so common, in fact, that most ancient Egyptians had severely worn down teeth by the time they were 30. The stone chips would often break teeth and cause abscesses, leading to terrible pain and early tooth loss. This is your breakfast. You chew slowly, the gritty texture scraping against your gums. This bread, often made from emmer wheat, is the cornerstone of your diet, but it's more of a hardship than a meal. You wash it down with a sip of beer from a communal clay jar. Ancient Egyptian beer was thick, murky, and nutritious. It was more like a liquid bread than a modern beverage, but it was often contaminated with bacteria. You have a constant low-level stomach ache from a lifetime of drinking this stuff. You step out of the hut, squinting in the harsh sunlight. The street is a narrow, dusty path littered with refuse and animal droppings. The air smells foul. Children are already playing, covered in a thin layer of grime. Dogs, emaciated and covered in sores, scavenge for scraps. The river is your only source of water, and it's a terrifyingly unsanitary place. You've seen what washes up on its banks: animal carcasses, human waste, and all manner of filth. Yet you have no choice but to use it for everything. Your father is a farmer, but today you are assigned to a new task. Your family owes a certain amount of labor to the pharaoh, a form of taxation called corvée labor. This isn't about building a magnificent temple, it's about digging a new irrigation ditch. The tools are simple, a simple wooden hoe and a basket. The ground is hard as a rock baked by the relentless sun. You swing the hoe, the jarring impact traveling up your arms and into your shoulders. The work is brutal. It's a mindless, repetitive, back-breaking chore that goes on for hours under the unforgiving sun. You are working alongside dozens of other men, all of you sweating and grunting in unison. The supervisors watch you armed with sticks, ready to use them if you slow down. There's no shade, no water breaks, just the relentless demand for more and more work. The ancient Egyptian medical system, for all its innovations, was deeply flawed and often based on superstition. You remember the time your younger brother got a terrible cough. Your mother took him to the local physician, a man who was as much a priest as a doctor. He prescribed a remedy of honey herbs and a poultice of crocodile dung. You remember the vile smell of it and your brother's desperate cries as it was smeared on his chest. It didn't work, of course. He got worse, and the family prayed to the goddess Sekhmet to spare him. The prayers were not answered. The high infant and child mortality rates were a brutal, inescapable reality. You were lucky to survive past the age of 5. This is a common historical fact, but what many people don't realize is how specific the illnesses were. Many people suffered from schistosomiasis, a parasitic disease from snails in the Nile, which caused internal organ damage and blood in the urine. It was so common that it was just considered a fact of life. The concept of a relaxing day off is completely alien to you. Work is your life. The endless cycle of labor, eating, and sleeping is broken only by the occasional festival, which often involves more hard drinking than genuine celebration. Your home, a simple mud brick structure, offers little respite. It's hot during the day and it holds the heat well into the night. It's filled with smoke from the cooking fire, and the mud floors are a constant source of dust. You share your living space with rodents, scorpions, and a host of crawling insects. You're constantly on edge, listening for the scuttling of a rat or the telltale scratch of a scorpion. You learn to sleep lightly, the fear of a venomous bite a constant companion. Today, you are a laborer. Your family's survival depends on your ability to work, but tomorrow you might be a servant to a wealthy noble, or perhaps even forced to serve in the pharaoh's army. Life is a constant gamble, a throw of the dice you can't control. The wealth of the pharaoh, the grandeur of the pyramids, is built on the sweat, blood, and tears of people just like you. The very air you breathe is laden with the misery of generations who lived and died for a legacy they could never truly own. You are a cog in a massive machine, a nameless part of an empire that will last for thousands of years long after your body has turned to dust. Life isn't a story of grand conquests and magnificent tombs for you. It's a daily battle against hunger, disease, and back-breaking work. It's the constant itch of pests on your skin, the perpetual ache in your back, and the gnawing anxiety that you might not have enough to eat tomorrow. There is an ongoing academic debate among historians about the true extent of the pharaoh's power over the common people. While many believe the pharaoh was a god-king with absolute control, others argue that local elites and traditions held significant sway and that the common person had some, albeit very little, say in their daily lives. For you, the truth feels simple. You are a subject, and your purpose is to toil. As you dig another basket of dirt, you feel the familiar ache in your shoulders. The sun beats down on your neck. This is your reality. This is your life. And you wouldn't wish it on anyone. You wake to the same hard clay bed, the same relentless heat, and the same buzzing of flies. But today, you are a craftsman, a different kind of toil, but no less demanding. Your father, a skilled potter, has taken you under his wing. The work is dusty and hot, but at least you are not under the direct glare of the sun. You sit on a small stool, the potter's wheel spinning slowly under your foot. You are trying to shape a lump of clay into a simple jar, a vessel for beer or water. Your hands are clumsy and the clay sags and collapses. Your father watches you, his face a mask of weary patience. He has been doing this since he was a boy, his hands scarred and calloused from a lifetime of working with clay. You know that if you don't master this skill, your future will be nothing but the brutal anonymous labor of a field hand or a ditch digger. The tools of your trade are simple: a piece of string for cutting the clay, a few smooth stones for polishing, and your own 2 hands. You work from sunup to sundown, the dust of the clay getting into your clothes, your hair, and your lungs. You cough, a dry hacking sound that is a constant companion. Your father tells you that the dust will eventually turn your lungs to stone, a grim joke that is more truth than humor. You are not paid in coin. There is no money to speak of. Your payment is in food, a portion of bread, a ration of beer, maybe a few vegetables. This is the reality of the ancient Egyptian economy. It's a barter system, a constant struggle to trade your labor for a meager existence. You are a commodity, and your worth is measured in the goods you can produce. Remember the gritty bread from last night. Well, you're about to discover the full horrifying truth of the ancient Egyptian diet. Your main sustenance is bread and beer. They are the same things you've been consuming since you were a child. The bread, often made from emmer wheat, is not just gritty because of sand from the desert, it's full of small stones from the grinding process. Your teeth are already worn down, and you're barely a young man. It's a very common historical fact that ancient Egyptians had terrible dental hygiene and suffered from severe tooth decay and abscesses. They also had no dentist in the modern sense. A priest might try to perform an exorcism on a toothache, but that's about it. The beer, as you know, is a thick, soupy concoction that is more nutritious than it is intoxicating. It is a vital part of your daily calorie intake, but it also carries the risk of disease. Your breakfast is the same as yesterday, a hard, gritty piece of bread and a cup of beer. You eat it quickly, your stomach rumbling for more. Food is a constant worry. Your family lives on the edge of starvation. One bad harvest, one missed ration, and you could be facing real hunger. You've seen what happens to people who have nothing to trade, they starve. You see them every day, their emaciated bodies a grim reminder of your precarious existence. You sometimes dream of a more luxurious diet of meat and vegetables, but you know that is a luxury reserved for the priests and the nobles. For you, it's a world of bread beer and the constant fear of not having enough of either. There are a few vegetables available like onions, garlic, and leeks, but they are a rare treat. A truly exotic delicacy for you would be a bit of fruit like a date or a fig if you're lucky enough to have a small tree on your property. The social structure of ancient Egypt is a rigid, unforgiving pyramid. At the top, there is the pharaoh, a god on earth, surrounded by a court of powerful priests and nobles. Below them are the scribes, the only ones who can read and write. They are the gatekeepers of knowledge and power, and they hold the keys to a better life. You and millions like you are at the very bottom. You are the laborers, the farmers, the potters, the weavers. You are the foundation of the entire society, but you are also its most expendable part. You have no rights, no say in your own destiny. Your life is a series of commands, a cycle of obedience and labor. The pharaoh commands the priests oversee, and you obey. It is a simple, brutal system, and there is no escape. You cannot change your lot in life. You are born a peasant, and you will die a peasant. You continue to shape the clay, your hands moving with a newfound confidence. You are getting better. The jar is taking shape, its sides smooth and even. Your father gives you a rare approving nod. It's a small victory, but it means everything to you. For a moment, you feel a sense of pride, a sense of purpose. This is your skill, your trade. You are not just a nameless laborer, you are a potter. But the feeling is fleeting. You look around the dusty workshop at the other craftsmen working in silence, their faces grim and tired. You are all in the same boat, all struggling to survive in a world that offers no mercy. You are all part of the same brutal system, a system built on the backs of people just like you. The grand temples, the magnificent tombs, the glittering treasures, they are all built on the backs of people who have nothing. And what about the other aspects of your life? Let's forget about it. Your day is filled with labor, and your evenings are for sleeping. There is no time for games or relaxation. If you are lucky, you might gather with a few other families in the evening, sitting around a small fire telling stories. But even that is a luxury. Your body is tired and your mind is exhausted. Sleep is your only escape. Your body is a constant source of pain, and you are rarely, if ever, clean. You wash yourself in the Nile, a quick dip in the murky water, but it does little to wash away the grime. The water is full of parasites, and you are constantly sick. Your teeth ache, your joints are sore, and you are perpetually tired. This is your reality. This is your life, and you wouldn't wish it on anyone. The most bizarre detail about ancient Egyptian diet is the sheer volume of beer they consumed. While modern beer is a recreational drink for the average Egyptian, it was a caloric staple, a liquid meal providing a significant portion of their daily sustenance. The beer was so thick that it had to be strained to be consumed, and it was often mixed with dates or honey to sweeten it. The fermentation process made it safer to drink than the water from the Nile, which was a breeding ground for disease. It was a trade-off, a constant struggle between a guaranteed calorie intake and the risk of a low-grade constant sickness. Scholarly debate still exists on the exact contents of the ancient Egyptian diet. While we know that bread and beer were the staples, there is ongoing discussion about how common other foods were for the general populace. Were they getting enough protein? Enough vitamins? The truth is, probably not. Their diet was woefully deficient in many respects, leading to widespread malnutrition and disease. You, as an ancient Egyptian, are a testament to that. Your frail body, your bad teeth, your constant illnesses, they are all a result of a life of constant labor and a diet that barely keeps you alive. It's a testament to the harsh reality that for all the grandeur and majesty of ancient Egypt, life at the bottom was a constant struggle for survival. The sun is a cruel master and your body is its servant. As a laborer, you are painfully aware of every ache, every cut, every festering sore. Your skin, perpetually caked in a fine layer of sand and dust, is a testament to your harsh existence. You smell bad. There's no getting around it. The air is thick with the scent of unwashed bodies of stale sweat and the ever-present stench of animal and human waste. Hygiene, as you know it, is a concept that doesn't really exist. You wash yourself in the Nile, a quick, perfunctory dip that does little to cleanse your skin of the day's grime. The water itself is a cesspool of bacteria, and you have a constant low-grade illness, a symptom of the parasites and viruses you are perpetually exposed to. The medical treatments of your time are, to put it mildly, a horror show. You have a small, deep cut on your foot from a sharp stone. It's swollen and angry, a dark line of infection spreading up your ankle. Your mother, a woman who has seen more death and disease than you can count calls for the local healer. He is not a doctor in the modern sense. He is a priest, a man who believes that illness is a punishment from the gods or the work of evil spirits. He examines your foot, muttering incantations under his breath. Then he produces a poultice, a foul-smelling concoction of herbs, honey, and, as you suspected, animal dung. You flinch as he smears it on your wound, the warm, sticky substance a source of pure disgust. It smells like rot and manure. The theory is that the honey will help it stick, and the rest is a prayer. It's an ancient and common practice, but it's often more harmful than helpful, introducing more bacteria into the wound. Remember that crocodile dung sunscreen? It's a real thing, or at least a documented historical concoction. But your problem isn't just about protecting your skin from the sun. It's about protecting it from everything. There are scorpions and spiders in your home. Sand fleas and lice are a constant torment. You scratch 1,000 times a day, your skin raw and irritated. You have no real understanding of germs or bacteria. You only know that you are perpetually itchy, perpetually unwell, and perpetually in pain. And the only solutions available to you are often just as bad as the problems themselves. You've heard stories of people trying to treat a headache by tree panning, drilling a hole in the skull to release the evil spirits. You've heard of people suffering from toothaches having to endure the pain until the tooth rots away completely, a process that can take months and lead to a painful, lingering death. For all the talk of mummification and embalming, the average ancient Egyptian lived a life that was anything but sterile. The average person's home was a breeding ground for disease. The air was thick with smoke from cooking fires. The floors were dirt and they were shared with rats, mice, and all sorts of insects. The lack of sanitation meant that diseases spread like wildfire. A cough could kill you. A small cut could turn into a life-threatening infection. It's a gruesome truth, but it's a truth all the same. Your life expectancy is not long, maybe 30 or 35 years if you're lucky. You will be old before your time, your body ravaged by a lifetime of hardship. Your back is already perpetually sore from bending over to plant seeds or dig a ditch. Your hands are rough and calloused. Your knees ache. You are a walking testament to the brutal, relentless reality of daily life. An interesting but not well-known detail is the ancient Egyptian reliance on magical charms and amulets. While the elite could afford grand monuments and elaborate tombs, the average person used these small, often crudely made objects to ward off evil spirits, bring good fortune, and protect against illness. You too have a small Ankh amulet on a piece of leather string around your neck. It's made of clay and it's your most prized possession. You believe it will protect you from the evil eye from a scorpion's bite from the bad luck that seems to follow you wherever you go. It is your only real defense against a world that is so hostile, so utterly unforgiving. Your reality is a world where medicine is a mix of superstition and rudimentary knowledge, where magic and medicine are one and the same. It is a world where a priest might try to cure a cough with a prayer and a vile concoction. It is a world where a simple cut can be a death sentence, and where you are constantly surrounded by the sick and the dying. The academic debate among historians continues on the true effectiveness of ancient Egyptian medicine. While they had a surprisingly advanced knowledge of anatomy and surgery, their understanding of disease and hygiene was almost non-existent. Were their surgical practices truly effective, or were they simply a last resort for people who had no other choice? The evidence is often contradictory, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. You as a laborer are a testament to the brutal reality of a life that is a constant struggle for survival. Your body is a map of your hardship, a collection of scars and aches and pains. You are tired. Your back is sore. Your foot throbs with a dull, constant ache. The poultice smells terrible, and you can only hope that it doesn't make things worse. You lay down on your clay bed, the hard surface a welcome relief from the pain in your feet. The sounds of the night are a familiar symphony of insects, the scuttling of rats and the distant barking of a dog. You fall into an uneasy sleep, your dreams a jumble of fear and pain. The relentless sun is a universal truth in ancient Egypt, a golden orb of fire that dictates the rhythm of your life. Today you are working on a construction site and the heat is suffocating. You are not building a pyramid but a noble's tomb. A smaller project, but the labor is no less grueling. You are carrying heavy blocks of limestone, roughly hewn and sharp-edged. The stone is impossibly heavy, and you can feel the strain in your arms, your back, your legs. The work is constant, a non-stop cycle of lifting, carrying, and stacking. The supervisors armed with whips and sticks watch you with an eagle eye. They are not cruel for cruelty's sake. They are simply doing their job, ensuring that the work is done quickly and efficiently. But that offers little comfort as you stagger under the weight of a stone block, your muscles screaming in protest. You work for hours, your body covered in a fine layer of white limestone dust and sweat. The dust gets into your eyes, your nose, and your lungs. It's a constant source of irritation, and you cough a dry, hacking cough that never seems to go away. Your hands are raw and bleeding, the result of 1,000 small cuts and scrapes. There is no such thing as a safety measure. If a stone block slips and crushes your foot, that's it. Your career as a laborer is over. You will be sent away to fend for yourself, a cripple in a world that has no use for the weak. This is a common fate for many of your fellow laborers. They work until their bodies break, and then they are discarded, a human sacrifice to the relentless pursuit of progress. Your payment for this back-breaking work is, as always, a ration of bread and beer. It's barely enough to sustain you, and you are always hungry. You have heard stories of laborers being given a bit of dried fish or a few onions, but that is a rare luxury. Your life is a constant grinding battle against hunger and exhaustion. You are a human battery, and the energy you expend is never fully replenished. You are a cog in a machine, a nameless part of an empire that is built on the sweat and suffering of millions. The pharaoh's tomb, with its intricate paintings and beautiful carvings, will be a testament to his power and wealth. But it will also be a monument to your pain, to your suffering, to your life that was consumed by a relentless, thankless toil. It's a historical fact that ancient Egyptian laborers were paid in rations, not currency. They would receive a set amount of grain each month, which would then be ground into flour for bread or brewed into beer. The amount of grain varied depending on your position and rank. A high-ranking craftsman might receive a generous ration, but a common laborer like you would receive just enough to survive. This system ensured that the pharaoh had complete control over the population. If you didn't work, you didn't eat. It was a simple, brutal, and effective form of control. A lesser-known detail about the pyramid builders and other laborers is that they often lived in purpose-built villages. These were not luxury accommodations. They were cramped, unsanitary, and filled with disease. The houses were small, made of mud brick, and offered little comfort. You would live in close quarters with hundreds of other laborers, all of you sharing the same misery. The air was thick with smoke and the smell of unwashed bodies. The streets were littered with refuse, and the risk of disease was incredibly high. These villages were not just a place to live. They were a way to keep the labor force close to control their movements, and to ensure that they were always available for work. Scholars still debate whether the Great Pyramids were built by slaves or by paid laborers. While the idea of thousands of slaves toiling under the sun is a powerful one, most modern historians believe that the pyramids were built by a massive, highly organized workforce of free citizens who were paid in rations. The work was so dangerous and difficult that it's unlikely a slave population could have been coerced into doing it on such a massive scale. The debate, however, highlights a key point: whether you were a slave or a free citizen. The life of a laborer in ancient Egypt was a brutal, thankless existence. Your freedom was a legal fiction. Your reality was a life of endless, mind-numbing toil. You are not a slave, but your life is anything but free. As the sun begins to set, the supervisor blows a horn, a sound that signals the end of your day. You drop the heavy stone, your hands shaking with exhaustion. You feel a new sense of pride, a sense of accomplishment. You have survived another day. You have earned your ration of bread and beer. You stagger back to your village, your body screaming in protest. You are tired, you are hungry, and you are in pain. You are a laborer in ancient Egypt, and this is your life. You are walking home from a long day of labor, your body aching with a familiar, dull pain. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. You are exhausted, but you have no time to rest. You need to get home, eat your meager meal, and prepare for another day of the same. The streets of your village are a chaotic mess of people, animals, and refuse. The air is thick with the smells of cooking fires, sweat, and something foul. You swat at a cloud of flies that follow you, a constant buzzing irritation. You feel a sudden sharp pain in your ankle and look down to see a small, dark scorpion scuttling away. You yelp, your heart hammering in your chest. You stand still for a moment, a wave of cold fear washing over you. You know that a scorpion's sting can be deadly. You've seen it happen. A small child, a laborer, a farmer, all victims of a tiny venomous creature. You stand there, your leg throbbing with a dull ache, and you can only pray to the goddess Serket, the patron of scorpions, to spare you. You wait for the pain to intensify, for the fever to set in. But it doesn't. You are one of the lucky ones. The scorpion that stung you was not one of the deadly ones. You let out a sigh of relief, a shaky sound that is more a gasp than a breath. You continue on your way, your mind filled with thoughts of illness, of the constant, invisible threats that surround you every day. Remember that poultice of crocodile dung and honey. That's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to ancient Egyptian medicine. The reality is that for most common ailments, people relied on a mix of folk remedies, magic, and superstition. You, as a common person, have no access to the elaborate medical treatments of the pharaohs and nobles. You have to rely on what your family knows, on what the local healer can offer you. You've heard of people trying to cure a fever by wrapping themselves in a blanket made of fish. You've heard of people trying to cure a snake bite by drinking a concoction of snake venom and herbs. Most of these remedies, of course, were completely ineffective and often made things worse. Your best bet was to just hope you survived. A fascinating and little-known detail about ancient Egyptian beliefs is the role of magic. For the average person, magic was not something used to build grand monuments or to bring the dead back to life. It was a practical, everyday tool. You would use a small amulet to protect you from the evil eye. You would recite a simple incantation to ward off a scorpion. You would use a magical charm to ensure a good harvest. Magic was a constant, intimate part of your daily life, a way to try to exert some small amount of control over a world that was so utterly unpredictable and dangerous. Scholars still debate the true extent of ancient Egyptian knowledge of disease. While they had a rudimentary understanding of anatomy and surgery, their knowledge of germs and bacteria was non-existent. They believed that diseases were caused by evil spirits, by the wrath of the gods, or by some sort of bad luck. The academic debate is centered on whether their medical practices were truly effective, or if they were simply a series of rituals that offered comfort and a sense of control in a world where there was so little of either. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Some of their remedies were surprisingly effective, but most were based on superstition and blind faith. For you, the difference is moot. You are a common person, and your life is a constant gamble with disease and death. As you reach your home, a one-room mud brick hut, you feel a wave of exhaustion wash over you. The inside of the hut is hot and stuffy, and the air is thick with the smell of smoke and stale sweat. You sit on your clay bed, your legs still throbbing from the scorpion sting. You are tired, you are hungry, and you are in pain. You are a human being in ancient Egypt, and your life is a constant struggle for survival. You close your eyes and you can only hope that you will survive the night. The sun is set and the scorching heat of the day gives way to a merciful if temporary coolness. You finally reach your home, a small, unassuming mud brick hut in a cramped village. It's barely big enough for your family, and it's a far cry from the opulent palaces and sprawling estates you've seen depicted in reliefs. This is where you will spend your nights, your brief respite from a world of unending toil. You duck through the low doorway, the air inside immediately feeling thick and heavy. The single room is dark save for the flickering light of a small oil lamp, a precious possession. The floor is a hard-packed mixture of dirt and mud, uneven and uncomfortable. You share this space with your family, your parents, your siblings, maybe even a few cousins or an elderly relative. There is no furniture to speak of, just a few clay pots, a basket of tools, and your hard clay beds. The room is hot as the mud walls have absorbed the sun's heat all day and are now radiating it back. The air is stagnant, heavy with the smell of smoke from the cooking fire, stale food, and the ever-present odor of unwashed bodies. You lay down on your bed, a hard, unyielding slab of clay that offers no comfort. The bed is raised slightly off the floor to protect you from floods and pests, but it offers little protection from the scorpions and other creatures that scuttle across the floor at night. Your home is a breeding ground for pests. You are constantly on guard listening for the scuttling of a rat or the telltale scratch of a scorpion. You learn to sleep lightly, the fear of a venomous bite a constant companion. The walls of your home are filled with cracks and crevices, and you know that at any moment a scorpion could crawl out and find its way to you. The darkness inside the hut is absolute, a thick, suffocating blanket that offers no relief from the anxieties of the day. An interesting but little-known detail about ancient Egyptian homes is that they had little to no privacy. There were no separate rooms for sleeping or eating. Everything happened in a single open space. The concept of personal space simply didn't exist. You as a person were constantly surrounded by others. Your life was a public affair with no escape from the noise, the smells, and the constant presence of your family and neighbors. Your home was not a sanctuary. It was just a place to sleep, a brief and uncomfortable stop on your journey from one day of labor to the next. For all the beauty and grandeur of ancient Egyptian architecture, the homes of the common people were a testament to the harsh realities of their lives. They were built with simple materials, mud straw, and water, and they were designed for one purpose: to provide a basic shelter from the elements. There were no windows, only small vents in the roof to let out smoke. There were no doors, only a simple mat to cover the opening. The homes were functional, but they were also a constant source of discomfort and disease. The academic debate about the average ancient Egyptian's living conditions is often centered on the idea of social stratification. While we know the pharaohs and nobles lived in opulence, there's a lot of discussion about how much the living conditions of the lower classes varied. Were they all living in the same level of misery, or were there some who were slightly better off? The truth is that there was likely a wide range of living conditions, but for the vast majority of the population, life was a constant struggle against the elements, disease, and poverty. Your home is a perfect example of this. It is not a place of comfort, but a place of survival. You lay down on your hard bed, your body aching with a familiar dull pain. You close your eyes and you can only hope that you will survive the night. You have survived another day of toil, another night of restless, insect-ridden sleep. The sun is once again a blistering orb in the sky, but today you are not working. Today is a festival day, a brief and chaotic respite from the endless grind. But don't be fooled. For the average Egyptian, leisure was a far cry from what you might imagine. It was a high-stakes, unglamorous affair often centered around religious ceremonies and a little bit of sanctioned debauchery. You are not celebrating a holiday. You are participating in a religious duty. The festival is a chaotic, noisy affair. There are hundreds of people in the streets, all of them moving in a single sweaty mass. The air is thick with the smell of roasting meat incense and the ever-present stench of the streets. You push your way through the crowd trying to get a glimpse of the procession. The priests dressed in elaborate robes carry a statue of the god, their faces painted with ochre and coal. The crowd cheers and you join in your voice hoarse from yelling. The atmosphere is electric, a heady mix of religious fervor and sheer, unadulterated chaos. But the real reason for the festival is not just to honor the gods, it's to get drunk. The main attraction is the beer, a thick, soupy concoction that is passed around in communal jars. You take a long drink, the sour, gritty liquid, a welcome relief from the heat. The beer is a powerful social lubricant, and you can see people's inhibitions melting away with every sip. They are laughing, singing, and dancing, a brief and joyous release from the brutal reality of their lives. But you are not just drinking for pleasure. The beer is a source of calories, a necessary supplement to your meager diet. You are not just getting drunk. You are refueling your body for the next day of labor. An interesting and often overlooked detail about ancient Egyptian leisure is the use of board games. While the nobles would play elaborate games like Senet, a game of chance and skill, the common people would play simpler games. You've seen children playing a game with small stones and a crude board drawn in the dirt. It's a simple, elegant way to pass the time, but it's a luxury. You have no time for games. Your days are filled with labor and your nights are for sleeping. Your life is a game of survival and you are playing for the highest possible stakes. For all the talk of festivals and games, the reality of ancient Egyptian leisure was that it was a luxury reserved for the elite. The average person like you had no time for such things. Your life was a constant struggle for survival, and every waking moment was a battle against hunger, disease, and exhaustion. The festivals were a brief and welcome distraction, but they were also a reminder of your place in society. You were not a noble. You were not a priest. You were a laborer, and your life was a constant grinding battle against a world that offered no mercy. Scholarly debate continues to this day about the role of festivals and other forms of leisure in ancient Egyptian society. Were they truly a form of entertainment, or were they a form of social control? Were they a way for the elite to keep the common people distracted from their misery, or were they a genuine expression of religious fervor? The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. The festivals were a way for the common people to blow off steam, to forget their troubles for a few brief, glorious hours. But they were also a way for the pharaoh and the priest to reinforce their power and to remind the people of their place in the social order. You are a participant in this, and you are a testament to the fact that even in your leisure, you are still a servant to a system that offers you no true freedom. The sun is once again a merciless orb in the sky, but today your thoughts are not on your own survival. They are on the afterlife. Someone in your family has died, an elderly relative perhaps, or a younger sibling who succumbed to a common illness. Death is a frequent, unwelcome guest in your world, and it is a grim and unsanitary business. You and your family must prepare the body for its journey to the afterlife. For the average Egyptian, this process is a far cry from the elaborate, multi-day mummification rituals of the pharaohs and nobles. There are no grand pyramids, no glittering gold masks, just the harsh reality of a quick, unceremonious burial. The body is not embalmed. There is no team of priests to carefully remove the organs and dry out the body. Instead, the body is simply wrapped in a linen cloth and laid out on the dirt floor of your home. You can already smell the decay, a foul, sweet odor that fills the small room. The body will be left there for a few days as the family mourns and prepares for the burial. This is a common historical fact. For the common people, there was no complex process of mummification. The body would simply be laid out, wrapped and buried in a shallow grave in the desert. The dry, hot sand would naturally mummify the body, a process that was far less glamorous, but just as effective as the elaborate rituals of the elite. A lesser-known detail about ancient Egyptian burials is the role of grave goods. While the pharaohs and nobles were buried with a king's ransom of gold, jewels, and furniture, the common person was buried with a few simple possessions. You gather a few items to place in the grave: a small clay pot of beer, a loaf of hard bread, and a few simple tools. These are not treasures. They are the same things you use every day, a testament to the fact that even in death, you are still a laborer, a farmer, a simple person. You place these items in the grave, a small and final offering to the gods, a hope that they will be useful in the afterlife. Scholars still debate the true beliefs of the common people about the afterlife. While the elaborate rituals and religious texts of the elite paint a picture of a complex and well-defined afterlife, the beliefs of the common people are less clear. Did they truly believe in a journey to the afterlife and a judgment before Osiris? Or was their belief in the afterlife a simple pragmatic one, a hope that they would have a better life after death than they did on Earth? The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. For you, the afterlife is a simple, straightforward concept. You hope that you will be able to eat, to drink, to live a life free from the constant toil and suffering of your current existence. As you and your family carry the body to its final resting place, you feel a wave of sadness wash over you. The grave is a simple, shallow hole in the sand, a temporary marker in a vast, empty desert. You say a final prayer, a few simple words to the gods, and you cover the body with sand. There is no tombstone, no grand monument. Just a small mound of sand, a final resting place for a life that was lived and died in obscurity. You walk away from the grave, your mind filled with thoughts of your own mortality. You know that one day you will be buried in the same way, in the same sand, with the same simple possessions. You are a human being, and your life is a testament to the fact that even in death you are still a servant to a system that offers you no true freedom. You've heard the stories, of course. The grand pyramids, those impossibly perfect triangles rising from the desert like mountains. They are a constant presence on the horizon, a testament to the power of the pharaohs and the glory of your civilization. But today, you are not just hearing the stories. You are seeing them up close, and you are seeing them for what they really are, a monument to suffering. You have been assigned to corvée labor, a forced conscription to work on the Giza Plateau. This isn't a paid job. This is a tax, a non-negotiable demand from your god king. The first thing that strikes you is the sheer scale of the place. It's not a beautiful, majestic monument. It's a vast, chaotic, noisy, and incredibly dangerous construction site. The air is thick with dust and the sounds of hammering, shouting, and the constant groaning of stone against stone. You are one of thousands of laborers, a tiny cog in a massive machine. Your job is to help move a massive block of limestone from the quarry to the pyramid. The block is impossibly heavy, and you are working alongside dozens of other men, all of you sweating and grunting in unison, pulling on a thick rope. The sun is a white-hot furnace, and there is no shade. Your feet are raw and bleeding from walking on the rough ground. The work is brutal, mind-numbing, and incredibly dangerous. You've heard stories of men being crushed to death by a falling block of men, being maimed by a slipping rope of men dying from heat stroke and exhaustion. You are a human mule, and your worth is measured in the weight of the stone you can pull. There is no glory here. There is no sense of accomplishment. There is only the relentless, mind-numbing labor, the constant fear of a misstep, and the knowledge that your life is worth less than the stone you are pulling. An interesting historical fact about the pyramids is that they were not built by slaves. They were built by a highly skilled workforce of laborers who were paid in rations. But what does that mean for you? You are a free citizen, but your life is anything but free. You have no say in your destiny. You are forced to work on a project you have no interest in for a god king you have never met. Your body is a tool, a resource to be used and discarded when it is no longer useful. A little-known detail is that the pyramid builders had a medical support system. There were doctors on site to treat injuries and illnesses. But what does that mean for you, the common laborer? It means that if you get sick or injured, you will be treated just enough to get you back to work. You are not a person. You are a commodity, and you are only valuable as long as you can work. Scholarly debate continues to this day about the true nature of the pyramid builders' lives. Were they truly a happy, well-cared-for workforce, or were they a population of people who were forced to work in brutal and dangerous conditions? The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. The life of a pyramid builder was a life of constant toil and suffering, but it was also a life of purpose. You are building something that will last for thousands of years, a testament to the power and glory of your civilization. But what does that mean for you, the common laborer? You are a footnote in a history that will never remember your name. You are a servant to a system that offers you no true freedom. You are a human being, and your life is a testament to the fact that even in your greatest achievements, you are still a prisoner of a brutal reality. The sun sets on another day, a fiery orange ball sinking below the horizon. The heat of the day gives way to a temporary coolness, but your body remains a furnace of aches and pains. The pyramid, that great geometric tomb, stands stark against the twilight sky. It is a monument to a god-king, a symbol of power and eternity. But for you, it is a monument to suffering, a testament to a life of relentless, mind-numbing toil. You have survived another day, but you are not triumphant. You are simply tired. Your hands are raw and bleeding, your back is a constant dull ache, and your feet are covered in sores. You have lived your entire life in the shadow of these great monuments, and you have come to realize a harsh truth: they were not built for you. They were not built to honor your life, your struggles, or your faith. They were built to honor a man who was a god, a symbol of a power that you could never hope to attain. You have spent your life serving this god, working in his fields, building his monuments, and living in a world that offers you no mercy. Your life is a constant grinding battle against hunger, disease, and exhaustion. You are a human being, and you are a prisoner of your own reality. Remember that gritty bread, that murky beer, that unsanitary poultice. They are the building blocks of your life. They are the constants in a world of constant change. You have lived in a world where a simple cut can be a death sentence, where a scorpion sting can be a life-threatening event, and where your life is worth less than the stone you are pulling. You have lived in a world where your freedom is a legal fiction, and your reality is a life of endless, mind-numbing toil. An interesting but little-known detail about the pyramids is that they were not built just for the pharaoh. The tombs and temples around them were built for the elite, for the priests and the nobles who served the god-king. The entire Giza Plateau, in fact, was a massive, sprawling complex of tombs, temples, and homes for the elite. The average person like you had no access to this world. You were a servant, and your purpose was to serve. You were a human being, and your life was a testament to the fact that even in your greatest achievements, you were still a prisoner of a brutal reality. Scholarly debate continues to this day about the legacy of ancient Egypt. Was it a glorious, advanced civilization, a beacon of progress in a world of darkness? Or was it a brutal, totalitarian society, a testament to the fact that a few people could control the lives of millions? The truth, as always, is probably somewhere in the middle. Ancient Egypt was a civilization of incredible achievements, of magnificent art, and of a rich and complex culture. But it was also a civilization built on the backs of people who lived and died in obscurity, who toiled for a legacy they could never truly own. Your life is a testament to this reality. You are a human being, and you are a prisoner of a system that offers you no true freedom. As you lay down on your clay bed, your body aching with a familiar dull pain, you can only hope that your life will be over soon. You are tired, you are hungry, and you are in pain. You are a human being in ancient Egypt, and your life is a constant struggle for survival. Now, as the last light of day fades and the stars begin to emerge twinkling like distant lanterns in a velvet sky, you can feel the heavy weight of the past begin to lift. The dust of millennia settles, and the echoes of ancient voices soften into a gentle hum. The ache in your back, the grit in your teeth, the constant low-grade fear, they are all fading now, dissolving into the quiet stillness of the night. You are no longer in that hot, stuffy hut. You are no longer a laborer in a world of relentless toil. You are here now in your own comfortable space, wrapped in the warmth of your blankets with a soft breeze from the fan, whispering across your skin. The air is clean, the world is quiet, and the only struggle is to keep your eyes from closing. Let go of the heat, the grit, the suffering. Let the image of that ancient, weary face be replaced by the soft darkness of your own eyelids. Let the pain in your feet be soothed by the quiet comfort of your bed. The journey is over. The story is complete. And you can finally rest.